Today, we're jumping into a condition that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. It's called Anton Syndrome, and it really messes with the line between what our eyes see and what our brain believes.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. What if you went completely blind, couldn't see a thing, but your mind, your consciousness, just never got the memo? What if you were absolutely 100% convinced you could still see perfectly? How is that even possible?
Well, believe it or not, that exact scenario is a real thing. And in this explainer, we're going to unpack this incredible neurological paradox. We'll look at what it is, why it happens, and what it tells us about how we even construct reality in the first place. To really get a feel for this, let's start by imagining what it's actually like to see someone with this condition. So you might see a person walking around a room looking totally self-assured, like they know exactly what they're doing. But then, bam, they walk right into a table, or they trip over a chair that's sitting right in front of them. Their confidence and their actions just don't match up at all.
And this is where it gets really, really strange. If you ask them, hey, what do you see? They won't say nothing. They might describe the painting on the wall or the color of your shirt, except there is no painting, and your shirt is a totally different color. They are, quite literally, blind to their own blindness.
This bizarre and fascinating condition, as you now know, has a name. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of what's actually happening in the brain. So officially, Anton syndrome is a rare symptom that comes from brain damage to the occipital lobe. That's the visual command center in the back of your brain. Now the key word here is cortically blind. Think of it this way. Their eyes are like cameras and they're working just fine. They're sending a video feed to the control room, but the monitor in the control room, the visual cortex, is broken. There's no picture, and yet the person will insist, sometimes very passionately, that they can see everything.
It all really boils down to two core symptoms with some pretty wild names. The first is anosognosia. That's just a fancy term for not being aware of your own medical issue. And the second, which is maybe even wilder, is confabulation. See, the brain hates a vacuum. It hates getting no information. So what does it do? It makes stuff up. It literally invents a visual world to fill in the blank screen.
Now, to really get this, it helps to compare it to its polar opposite, a condition called blind sight. With blind sight, someone is consciously blind. They'll tell you they can't see a thing, but their brain still unconsciously reacts to stuff. Like they'll duck if you throw a ball at them, but they won't know why. Anton syndrome is the exact reverse. They are consciously certain they can see, but there's absolutely no real perception going on. So the million-dollar question is, why? Why on earth would the brain create such a detailed and convincing lie for itself? Well, the leading theory suggests it's a massive communication failure. Okay, so here's how it's thought to work. Step 1. A signal from the eyes still gets sent to the brain. So far, so good. Step 2. That signal hits the damaged visual cortex and nothing. It can't be processed. Now here's the kicker. Step 3. The part of your brain that handles your consciousness, your inner monologue, it never gets the error message. It never finds out the visual system is offline. So, step 4. To make sense of this total lack of data, the brain's storyteller just invents a story. It creates a whole visual reality from scratch.
Now, this isn't just some abstract neurological concept. This is a very real condition with a pretty fascinating history.
This quote from neurologist McDonald Critchley just says it all, doesn't it? It's not just that the patient doesn't know they're blind. They actively act and talk as if they can see, which you can imagine is incredibly confusing and even heartbreaking for their friends and family.
And just how rare is this? Get this. In the entire history of medical literature, there are only about 28 published cases. 28. That just goes to show you how uniquely specific the brain damage has to be to cause this exact, strange disconnect. The syndrome got its name from Gabriel Anton, who first described it way back in 1895. And what's really interesting is that his first patient was actually cortically deaf, but insisted she could hear perfectly. And research continues to this day. In 2007, there was a major case study published about a 6-year-old kid with the syndrome, showing that it can happen to anyone at any age.
Okay, so what's the big takeaway here? I mean, besides being a mind-blowing medical curiosity, Anton syndrome really forces us to ask some pretty deep questions about our own relationship with reality.
And it's such a compelling idea, isn't it? The mind just building its own world. It's really no surprise that writers and filmmakers have been drawn to this concept for years. I mean, you've probably seen it explored without even realizing it. It showed up in an episode of House, it was a central idea in the film Dogville, and the brilliant neurologist Oliver Sacks wrote about it in his book An Anthropologist on Mars. All of these stories use it to explore bigger ideas about denial, truth, and the stories we tell ourselves to get by. And that really leaves us with one final, kind of unsettling thought. Anton Syndrome is an extreme case, for sure, but it reveals a fundamental truth about all of our brains. Our experience of the world isn't a direct, high-definition video feed. It's a construction. It's a story our brain is constantly telling itself, based on little bits of sensory data and a whole lot of past experience and expectation. It's always filling in the gaps. So the real question isn't just about a handful of patients with a rare condition. It's for all of us. If our reality is a story the brain tells itself, how much of it is actually true?